Welcome. Thank you for those of you that are watching. You are tuned in to Teacher Talks. I am your host, Dr. Christopher Holmes. I have a great, exciting, and hopefully informative show for you tonight. So I look forward to sharing with you and hearing from you at the same time. Remember, you drive the show. Your comments, your feedback, and questions direct and guide how we drive the show in what direction. So give me a few more minutes to get more people in here. Remember, if you are on Facebook, you can like and comment. If you're on YouTube, like, comment, stop what you're doing, subscribe right now. Subscribe, hit that subscribe button, and then hit that bell for notifications so you can always be informed on when I'm on live. So I'll be back in just a couple of minutes and we will start the show. Thanks again for watching Teacher Talks. So thank you guys for watching. I am not going to prolong the show tonight. I'm excited about tonight's show. This show is entitled, Are High School Students Really College Ready? And I have a great guest tonight by the name of Dexter Reynolds, who is going to share with us his experience with this particular topic. And I can't wait for him I can't wait for you to hear from him. Now, as always, it is 9 o'clock or after 9 o'clock. You know what I always say. It's 9 o'clock. So what you need to do is pick your cup up and put the kids down because we need to have a conversation. I'm so excited again about tonight's topic. This is something that is near and dear to my heart. If you've watched this before, you know that I am very passionate about students being college ready, but ensuring they have the tools and the capacity in their heads to compete and to receive a college degree for those that desire it. So I think this is a critical topic, especially right now. We're dealing with students in the pandemic. We talking about learning loss, learning gaps, what will happen next school year with so many of our students being either in a virtual setting or being at home, some being in blended. So what does that look like? How is this going to impact student achievement, student learning, and then the focus for addressing these gaps in the near future, near meaning the next school year? Hopefully in the fall, with the vaccines in place, we'll have most of our students back in school, but that may not necessarily be a guarantee, right? May not be a guarantee. So we don't know what it's going to look like. So tonight I wanted to bring somebody on to share with us what it currently looks like, and hopefully bring some information to you that's going to help you as a parent, as a teacher, as an administrator, or a central office administrator. Really rethink what we're doing in schools, and are we really being effective in helping our students transition into post-secondary life. So I did actually pre-record this show because there was a time condition that we could not work around, and I wanted to ensure that you guys had an opportunity to hear from Professor Reynolds. So I am going to show the pre-recorded show, but I'm going to be live helping to answer questions if there are any and to help drive the conversation with you all. So I'm going to pull this up for you. And like I said, I will be here with you and to help drive or answer any questions that you may have. Now, what I need to do is make sure I pull up the right one, correct? Because that is important. Okay, that's interesting. Let's try this again. I think in order to do this, I'm going to have to. I got all these windows up, guys. All right, let's see. There we go. So let's start. I'm going to start the pre-recorded episode for you guys. And remember, I'm here, so you're more than welcome to jump in the comment section. Ask you is in terms of behaviors, what is something that students don't come in that helps them obtain the intellectual, the academic part to help them be successful? And you answered that in terms of saying they don't have the discipline. I know you can say that at the post-secondary level, especially, this idea of hand holding and babying is not something that you think that you would do at the college level, right?
Absolutely, and actually something I don't do. And I get a little bit of kickback, but I feel like this is a very sacred space. This
Yeah.
isn't a space that you're forced to be, like you alluded to it in the beginning. But this is something that you're choosing to do. This is something that you're paying money for. So why not come in and do it?
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of lack that discipline. Really dive into disheartening, and it's kind of be to the space. And I can tell you, students kind of get how do I phrase this notion of or this idea at this level that we will hand in college, and I can understand, in the case like not holding their hand, but understanding that life experiences, everybody's life experience is something different, and everybody has different situations. So, into a particular student may be different from another. But in terms of my due dates, assignments turned in or completed, showing up for exam day, work, anything of that nature, yeah, I'm not the professor for that one. So, I really expect a level of discipline and, just gumption from the students. And I think that, they always will say, well, when is the makeup day? And I'm like, what is the makeup day? And they're, well,
Yeah.
when I can turn in everything that I didn't do, throughout the semester. I was like, never heard of it, and that doesn't exist here.
So I kind of want to jump in right here and kind of pick up where he's talking about this idea that one, students always don't come in with the intellectual knowledge they need as it relates to content to be successful in school. But then he gets into this conversation about soft skills. Like some students just lack the determination or the resiliency they need to be successful at the college level. They need a certain level of discipline, is what he speaks on. And we can definitely say that he is saying there is no hand holding at the post secondary level, which is quite different sometimes at some high schools. Definitely at middle schools. I mean, the amount of accountability that we place on students as they matriculate through schools should increase. And then by the time they get to college, the expectation is that they can handle the course load, number two, but they also have the capacity to demonstrate control and discipline to manifest this degree at the end of the 4 or 5 year career that they have in college. Now, how do we do this? Well, we're going to dive deeper into this conversation with Professor Reynolds. So hold on tight. He's going to give you more insight into his thinking, and I want you to get it. So let's start back and pick up where we left off.
Think about those things, especially from a student perspective, when you're coming into these spaces, that, if you're taking a college prep track in, high school, that it needs to be a true college track. Hold these students accountable to deadlines, hold them accountable to, these assignments. And, a second chance is not going to always be given.
Mm-hmm.
So, do it and do it right the first time. So that's just kind of been my take on and understanding of,
And that has been a struggle for me, and especially now as a consultant when I work with schools, especially high schools. I focus on with the teachers ensuring that the rigor is in the course, and that whatever those state standards are that we try to correlate to next generation science standards, especially in your case, that these students are performing at that level, because when they leave high school and enter into post-secondary education, there's an understanding that they come in with this base level of knowledge, and when we don't hold kids to that standard, we're really doing them a disservice. So they can leave us with a high school diploma, with a GPA of 4.2, with a class average in all their sciences of 98 or 99. But is that a true measure of what they should know to be proficient, and not to say mastery in that course. And so I think we send kids to college sometimes with a misguided understanding of how smart they really are. Not saying they can't obtain those actual averages, but they need to be stretched and challenged to make sure that they earn those grades, and they're not just grades that that are low level thinking, total recall, identification thinking, because that's not what you're doing. They come to you, you're like, all right, you should know what a cell is and what it does and all the organelles and blah blah blah. We're going forward. And you're not finding yourself doing that. You're going back to what they should have got in ninth grade. All right, I'm going to rewind this a little bit because I think this point is very, very important. And so for those of you that are watching right now, if you're on YouTube, make sure that you hit like, you're in the comment section, as well as you have subscribed to the channel. If you're on Facebook, that you also watching, get in the comments. This is important. Same thing with Periscope. Thank you for watching on Periscope. You too can get in the comments and be a part of this conversation. I'm going to take this back a little bit because the point that I'm making here I think is very important, and one that I think you all need to hear, because this is one of the pivotal points in this conversation that really encompasses what I want you to take away. All right. So make sure that you share this right now. Share this right now with somebody, because this is very critical. Once again, you can watch this after this airs live, but I do want you to pay special attention to what we're talking about at this particular moment. Two, with a class average and all the responses of 98 or 90.
These students accountable to deadlines, hold them accountable to, these assignments. And, a second chance is not going to always be given. Mm-hmm. So, do it and do it right the first time. So that's just kind of been my take on and understanding of,
And that has been a struggle for, me, and especially now as a consultant, when I work with schools, especially high schools, I focus on with the teachers ensuring that the rigor is in the course, and that whatever those state standards are that we try to correlate to next generation science standards, especially in your case, that these students are performing at that level, because when they leave high school and enter into post-secondary education, there's an understanding that they come in with this base level of knowledge. And when we don't hold kids to that standard, we're really doing them a disservice. So they can leave us with a high school diploma, with a GPA of 4.2, with a class average and all the responses of 98 or 99. But is that a true measure of what they should know to be proficient, and not to say mastery in that course? And so I think we send kids to college sometimes with a misguided understanding of how smart they really are. Not saying they can't obtain those actual averages, but they need to be stretched and challenged to make sure that they earn those grades, and they're not just grades that that are low level thinking, total recall, identification thinking, because that's not what you're doing. They come to you, you're like, all right, you should know what a cell is and what it does and all the organelles and blah blah blah. We're going forward. And you're not finding yourself doing that. You're going back to what they should have got in ninth grade, trying to build that level of understanding and then take them forward in a semester. So now it's your job.
Exactly.
To reteach and
yeah, exactly. So, and it kind of makes me think sometimes. It's like, how are we K through 12 level, how are we holding them accountable to these objectives? Is there some type of metric or measure to say, because I know the high school graduation test, from my knowledge, is gone away, correct? And I know we have on tests in middle school. We don't. It's gone. So we kind of measuring what these students actually know leave high school, because one of the questions I always ask at the beginning of all my courses is simply, what is the classroom is always silent. Like, okay, so I give them some incentive to answer the question. Hey, I got 5 bonus first exam. Someone tell me what DNA is, and you hear everybody but no one still can come up with an answer. That's a basic principle. of science, so it's like, what have you been doing for the last 4 years that you don't know what one, a
Yeah.
cell is, or two, what DNA is, from a science perspective. So, you know, to take them from where, by the end of my course, it's a challenge. And I can tell you that the population is, well, they don't perform too well in an upper level course that I teach. So you get the kickback, what's going on, why are your students, not well, X, Y, and Z. If the person make an A on the exam, I know the exam was at least fair,
Yeah.
So, but I do look back at, each student is, maybe deficient in, and, maybe it's, of course, but, it's just challenging to really take a student from, where they are down.
I think one of the challenges you just said that may be similar across the 9-12 and the post-secondary realm is sometimes the pressures to meet a specific quota for pass-fail rates for students. I know a lot of times in high
Mm.
school, if you have too many students failing, you have to answer some tough questions. And you're thinking, well, I'm just trying to hold these
Yeah.
kids to the level of learning expectations as established by the state standards. Um, I cannot water down the expectation. It is what it is. But somehow you want me to, as you said, provide additional points, additional incentives, some way that it's going to show that they're passing. But I know that they don't have the knowledge that they really need to say they've mastered this course. And so we see kids graduating. As a teacher, I know I will feel horrible to think that I let a kid go on with a false sense of understanding. And I see it come back to me freshman year saying, oh, Dr. Holmes, I'm taking this course in blah, 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 blah. It could be a math course. I'm not going to say my course because I never let them go on. You're going to stay back or whatever. You're going to retake it. But anyway, I'm taking this course in college and I'm totally lost. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I made a 99, my senior year in, calculus. And in college freshman algebra, I don't know what I'm doing. And I can only attribute that to the instruction they got in high school and that they did not meet the expectation, but we still passed them on. And so it's interesting to hear that you say you too still have to answer questions when kids don't pass your class and they have to retake. I think I think it's interesting, but it also speaks to this idea that universities and colleges are both political and money making machines. And so the idea
Oh yeah,
is that we need to put out numbers that look good. But I can't say that always
absolutely.
serves the best interest of students. So you talked about this a little bit about we talked a little bit about reteaching. But as a professor, you really don't have that time allotted to go back. So how do you try to address some of these deficiencies? Like, how much time can you really commit to teaching information they should already know before they get to you?
Um, Honestly, so the way that the textbook is kind of structured of, the first 3 or 4 chapters are basically should be what a review from 9 through 12, and that's knowledge. And so usually I spend a lot of time on that. This is things that you just what I call kind of knocking the dust off
Right.
chapters. But now I'm having to take extra time to, one, teach it, 2, incorporate things that kind of the material tools from the literature or outside sources that I may use to get that foundational knowledge so that you can understand, especially with A and because like I say, if you don't understand the cell, I mean, you're not going to understand anything else talked about in this course. And then two, with students that I can identify pretty early on the lectures and asking questions and their, proficiency in some of the information. Just really taking that one-on-one time with the office hours or now in COVID Zoom hours with them to along, to make sure that they can really move the course. And I can tell you it's challenging. It really is challenging. Looking at, Georgia State hired the perimeter college throughout Metro and the area. Just the dynamic of the events are quite different from that of downtown campus. So, the downtown campus, you have, students who may have gotten this, really good school system and gotten this foundational knowledge and doing well, but you take someone in the South DeKalb area and have that, because I don't think that they've, the K through 12 or 9 through 12 get into this. So it makes it really hard, makes it really challenging. And then two, I think it really kind of kills the students and it makes them, give up. It's too many times I've seen, and it's like, well, you later date, and you never see them. That's, kind of disheartening as well.
Yeah.
But we really have to take that time and focus on that foundational knowledge and not the.
So let's dig a little bit deeper into what you said, but what you didn't really say. So you talked about the kids that live in the Atlanta metro area. Those kids typically come from better schools or schools that seem to have trained them better. And then some of the kids that come from the South Fulton area somehow don't seem to have gained those foundational pieces that they need to be successful in a course like yours. Would you say that the majority of the students that lack the prior knowledge come from a particular cultural or racial community? I think I said that nice enough.
So basically you're asking what side of
basically.
So I've had students that come to me who already hold degrees. I've had students from Mercer who already hold degrees. I've had students that will bypass from Gwinnett campus, and they do quite well. To do well. One of those things is discipline. It's self-governance, like to really get in. If I don't know something, ask the question, refer to the book, go to the professor. You see students, I get students from, as you said, the South Fulton area or the South DeKalb area who don't really have that backing and who have, had their hand held a lot, come in and I mean, just lack that excel. And so, it's disheartening to me that, the how do I put this?
Say it.
The unbalanced financial support is.
Yeah.
I think that's important as well, to really undergird these students, to give them the tools that they know to be successful. So one that's coming from Gwinnett or coming in with a degree already, that's coming in and just really killing the course, and then you have someone who coming in from, you know, the South Clayton County area, you know, have had such a privileged experience to come in, and they're really stressed in this whole dominant. So yes, there is a big difference, and having those soft skills from students very affluent areas and not so affluent areas across Metro Atlanta.
And so that's why, you know, I'm a big advocate for Black, Brown, and low SES students in terms of equity, but I also encourage these schools or these districts to ensure it doesn't matter what side of the tracks you're on, you have a responsibility to provide kids with a high quality
Absolutely.
education. And so you need well-trained, well-informed, well-knowledgeable content teachers providing instruction in these courses, because you can't just have a warm body and a placeholder in a class for 3-4 years, or afford to have people that you know lack the capacity to instruct students at that high level, because you just need somebody in there and they're collecting a check, but they're doing a disservice, or I would say they're putting kids on the cross for their paycheck. That's just not fair. Because if we begin to track those kids after high school, and if we still are being accountable for what they were doing in the first 2 years of college, I promise you, I believe policy-wise, they would start behaving differently, because now I am still accountable for those kids even when they leave me in terms of their performance. So if they fell out or they can't compete, then those numbers, I will somehow get a score that reflects that I left kids unprepared or not college ready, right? Because we get credit for the diploma and for the high school level, but after they leave, we don't know what happened to them many times. And so I think we need to somehow, and I hate saying this, but still be accountable for them for at least the first year. So you will ensure that when they leave you with what they need, versus you getting credit for something that you probably really, really did not do for them. And that's not fair, because then that hurts people like you in the world of academia that are really trying to prepare students for careers. And you have kids. Unfortunately, it sounds like, I'm not going to say you crush their dreams, but when they encounter you, the expectations are what they are, and they can't meet the bar. And so what they desired to have happen in college doesn't come true because they cannot compete. And that's not fair. And so we've got
Well,
to really rethink this.
absolutely. I don't want to say that they're just lacking, because I think it's there. It's just getting students to want to tap into that, and then to be disciplined enough to really put in the work. Because you get students, one of the questions that I ask them when they come in is, one, I want to know who you are, you know, so one, that I can put a face with the name, and two is that you want to do career-wise, and then two, what it is that you hope to get out of this course, right? So those students from the more affluent areas will answer, you know, I want to know what I can, you know, in anatomy and physiology, or about microbiology, because I want to become a nurse. I want to be a nurse. I want to do all these great things, you know, so I learn as much as I can, you know, about this particular subject matter, you know. And then you get others who will come in as like, I'm just trying to get a B, I'm just trying to pass the course, you know, because I want to become a nurse, because they make a lot of money, you know. And, you know, if that is your motivation, you're not going to succeed, you know. And, you know, it just takes that, you know, you coming into the classroom trying to get the knowledge. I always tell students that the A will come. It will come if you're seeking knowledge. If you're disciplined enough to seek the knowledge, the A will come. Focus on the material, you know, and focus on understanding the material and applying the material. Because you know, if your motivation is just to get an A so that your GPA can be high and hopefully compete to get into nursing school, you're not going to stay in nursing school. I can tell you that much. And I've had some really successful students who have come from these low, you know, these low SES areas and less affluent areas. You know, I've often reminded of one of my students who was a single mother who grew up in the South DeKalb area. She came in and she took me for both A&P 1 and 2. And she kind of struggled through A&P 1. She barely preached out a B. And in A&P 2, she really struggled, but she was committed and she was dedicated and she was disciplined. And I found myself going to the campus to meet her at the library on, you know, Fridays and Saturdays so that, you know, she could really, you know, excel in the course, and she got to be in the course again. And she ended up gaining acceptance into the accelerated program at Mercer School of Nursing. And to be able to do a nursing program in 18 months, my hat's off to anybody who's able to do that and to do that at an accelerated level. And this is someone whom I, you know, was a C student really at best, but worked hard to get that B. And she, you know, got herself into nursing school and was doing very well. So you do have those success stories from students that come from these areas. But again, if you don't have that discipline, if you don't have that, you know, self-awareness and gumption to really want to be successful, then I mean, you're not going to be successful at any level, to me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you talk a lot about the this self-efficacy kind of aspect of what it takes to be a college-ready student. And I go back to when you spoke about those students. If they didn't understand something from these affluent areas, what do? They ask questions. You know, they didn't sit there and figure, oh, well, I'll just go back home and try to get it, and I'll read the book a little bit more. Like, no, I'm sitting here in front of this professor. I value myself enough, and I know what I desire from this course. So I'm going to, if he can't tell me, then I'll go back and try to get it. But he's here. Why not ask the expert, right? And like you said, I think a lot of that comes from confidence.
Exactly.
I think some of these kids, they come into the classroom knowing they're not quite where they need to be. Once you start talking, they're like, oh Lord, did he say a homeostasis? Let me go look that up on Google. I'm about to Google that. I don't even know what that is. What is, and homie, is a home? Is this homostasis? Is this homeostasis?
Right.
Oh my God. I've got a problem here, Phil. I don't know what's going on. And so off the top, they're like, oh, I need to figure out if I'm going to make it in this class. And and you probably have many kids, before they even fell out, they drop out. They just go ahead and drop the course.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So they just lack that fortitude to just say, you know what, I'm going to see it to the end and I'll just see what happens. You know, they just like, I don't want the C, I want the B. I know I'm probably not going to earn the B because I don't know enough at this point. So I'm just going to drop the class and either change my major or come back another day. But what that means is they go and take a whole bunch of other little courses that they're wasting money on now. That's a waste of investment to take a course that you don't need when you should be just trying to drive right into that field, which is so sad.
Absolutely.
So what's the solution?
Absolutely.
How do we remedy this? What are your thoughts? How do we come to some level of understanding and make this better for students?
You know, that's a tough. You know, one of the things that I do admire about Georgia State is that, you know, it is one of the leader in graduating African men and women with bachelor degrees. And Georgia State has really become what I call an honorary HBCU because 40% of its population are African American men and women. 60% of that 40% would go on to graduate. And part of that success is early alerts. So really that student for the midterm, hey, you missed this assignment, or I see that you are not proficient. You know, this exam didn't go well for you. It's happening, you know, for you, you know, whether it be personal or, you know, something's happening at home, or, you know, you're not understanding the material, you know, what is it that we can help you with, what resources. We have a plethora of resources to provide for you, to really help you be on track and get on track. So that's one of the things that I think has really, helped with the success of graduating students. But again, I mean, I'm just a firm believer that, you have to have that solid foundation coming in. And that doesn't mean that you come in knowing everything, but it does mean that you come in knowing something, and then have the discipline to know or learn what you don't know. So I think it's just grabbing students early, assessing their problems, and really, tailoring that individually to each student, to remedy that, if that makes sense.
It makes
So I
total
think
sense.
that's really what's been a great deal of the success for students at Georgia State. And, I think, many institutions probably have a similar, but I think that's really what's successful and really keeps the graduation.
Mm. Well, that says a whole lot about the credibility and character of a university like Georgia State, for one, taking a chance on many students that may not do well at other institutions, but they have a commitment to supporting those students if the goal is to graduate, to see them through the end, if they can stick it out. But also says that we too have work to do, at the K-12 level, to support the work that you all do and to try to make it easier. And so I'm sure that we will have to have a follow up to this particular interview once people watch this, because this is a hot button topic, and we throw around this term college readiness all the time, but we see dropout rates and matriculation rates at post-secondary institutions aren't where they need to be in many of them. So we've got to find a way to bridge the gap between what they leave us with and what they can access and gain when they get to college. So thank you so much for joining me. I mean, we talked so much, I didn't even have a chance to even sip out of my cup. So that means this was a really good interview. So thank you so much for joining me, Mr. Reynolds.
Right.
I look forward to having people watch this. Once again, this is pre-recorded, so you guys be free to get in the comment section as you watch this, and I will be live with you as you do. But I will probably get Professor Reynolds back on this show so we can have a follow-up with you, because I know that you're going to have a lot of questions and comments that only he can answer, because I'm not going to try. All right. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, this is Teacher Talk. I am your host, Dr. Christopher Holmes. My guest tonight is Mr. Professor Dexter Reynolds. And so we want to thank you for joining us. And like I always say, thank you for watching. I'll be back next week, every Thursday, 9 o'clock. Until then, be safe and so I hope you guys enjoyed that interview. It was a really, really good and enlightening interview. I enjoyed talking to him. As I said, I will definitely have him back. It is a conversation I think that is needed, especially as we figure out what happens to our students after this school year and we transition into fall 21-22 after this pandemic. I think we will be dealing with many challenges that will need to be addressed, and I want to make sure that I am on the forward front to help teachers, principals, community leaders, and parents understand where we're going, why we're going in that direction, and how they can be a part of the solution. So again, I've already signed off with him, but I'm going to sign off with you again. Thank you for watching. For those of you that are late, don't worry. You can watch this later on YouTube. It's always there for you. You can always still join into the comment section and the chat at that time. I'm constantly watching the comment section so I can respond to what questions or issues that you all want to share. So until next time, next Thursday, 9 o'clock, I have another great guest. We're going to be talking about filling in spaces for those in different and diverse communities. I can't wait to share with you then. For now, I'm signing off. Be safe, be blessed, and I'll see you next week.